You know that feeling, right? Like you're standing outside and the sky has turned that.
That really heavy, bruised shade of purple.
Yeah, exactly. And the air just sort of drops. The temperature plummets, the wind suddenly dies down, and right before that very first drop of rain falls, you feel it.
That intense, prickling sensation.
Right, the static electricity, the hair on your arms literally stands straight up. You can practically taste the ozone.
Well, it's a physiological reaction, you know? Your body's basically acting as a sensor. It's picking up on a sudden spike in the local electric field as a storm system rolls in.
Now, I want you to hold on to that feeling, but scale it up. Imagine you aren't just one person standing in a field. Imagine you are an entire forest.
Thousands and thousands of acres.
Yeah. Towering oak, pine, sweet gum trees. What happens when that exact same immense, invisible electrical tension plays out across an entire forest canopy? Welcome to today's deep dive. We are going on a mission today to uncover the invisible electrified secret of forests.
We're looking at a brand new discovery published in Geophysical Research Letters, and it completely changes how we understand the relationship between trees and thunderstorms.
It solves a really old mystery, right?
Yeah, a mystery that scientists have been trying to crack for nearly 100 years. Because, I mean, when you and I think of a storm, we think of the obvious physical impacts. The torrential rain.
Wind bending the branches, lightning strikes, all that.
Exactly. But there is a completely silent, invisible electrical exchange happening right above our heads that we've just been completely blind to until now.
So if this exchange is entirely invisible, and scientists have been chasing it for a century, that means they weren't actually seeing anything in the trees. They must have been, like, looking at anomalies in the data.
Right.
If I'm reading the sources right. They were measuring the atmospheric electric field and finding a math problem they couldn't solve.
That is the perfect way to frame it. For decades, researchers have been using instruments to measure the voltage gradient in the atmosphere. So, on a clear, sunny day, there is a normal baseline electrical field stretching between the ground and the upper atmosphere. But when a massive storm system rolls in, it acts like a giant atmospheric battery.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the storm clouds carry an enormous electrical charge. And because of how electromagnetism works, that massive charge in the sky induces an opposite electrical charge deep in the earth below it.
So if the storm cloud is highly negatively charged at its base, it basically repels the negative electrons in the ground, leaving the surface of the earth positively charged.
Correct.
Essentially pulling at the earth.
Yeah, and that immense charge in the ground doesn't remain static. It's highly energized, and it desperately seeks the highest possible point so it can discharge back into the air.
Trying to balance out the electrical tension between the earth and the sky.
Exactly. Now, in a city environment, that charge travels up lightning rods, skyscrapers, or radio towers. But out in nature, the highest points are the tips of the leaves on the tallest trees.
Okay, let's unpack this, because we need to look at the physics of what actually happens at the tip of that leaf. Because it isn't a lightning strike, is it?
No, it's something entirely different.
It reminds me of rubbing a rubber balloon on your sweater, to build up static, and then holding it just above your head.
Oh, right, and watching the hair reach up?
Yeah, you watch as individual strands of your hair reach up, basically defying gravity, trying to connect with the balloon. The charge is concentrating at the very tip of the hair strand.
That's a great visual.
Right. So if we scale that up to a monstrous size, the storm cloud is the balloon, and giant trees are stretching millions of individual leaves up toward the sky, funneling that ground energy to the sharpest points.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is why it's so significant. It's not just a passive event. The forest floor and the storm clouds are actively interacting.
Active interaction. Got it.
Right. In physics, electrical charge always concentrates at the sharpest points of an object. So the tip of a leaf is a perfect conductor for this. When the electrical tension, the voltage gets high enough at that sharp point, it triggers something called a corona discharge.
And a corona discharge isn't just a flow of energy, it physically alters the air around the leaf, doesn't it?
It does. The electrical field at the tip of the leaf becomes so intensely concentrated that it literally rips electrons off the surrounding oxygen and nitrogen molecules in the air.
Whoa.
Yeah, this process is called ionization. By stripping those electrons, the leaf transforms the air immediately around it from a highly insulating gas into a glowing, conductive plasma.
Wait, plasma?
Yep. The leaf is literally bleeding the Earth's electrical charge into the sky through this plasma field.
So the math was basically pointing to a massive energy leak.
Essentially, yes.
The early researchers saw the voltage dropping around forests, And they knew the energy had to be going somewhere, but nobody could find the physical proof. Which begs the question, if the physics are that straightforward, and the math has been pointing to this energy leak for 100 years, why did it take until the 2024 paper to actually see it?
Because of a fundamental limitation in how we observe the natural world. The research team at Pennsylvania State University, the authors of this new study, had already proven this mechanism in a laboratory setting.
Oh, they had?
Yeah, they set up an experiment where they artificially created that severe electrical
Really see that plasma glow?
Yeah.
That corona discharge? They had to put the trees in a completely pitch black room, right?
Exactly. They turned off every light, blocked the windows, and only in total darkness did the tree crowns produce this faint, eerie blue glow.
Right. And nature simply does not operate in a pitch black laboratory.
Not at all. Out in the real world, even during the darkest, most severe thunderstorm, there is a tremendous amount of ambient light. You've got lightning flashing.
Light pollution reflecting off clouds from nearby towns.
Yeah, and just the general glow of the atmosphere, that ambient light is vastly brighter than the faint blue glow of a corona discharge.
So to the naked human eye, or even a standard camera, that glow is completely washed out.
Completely. You just see a normal tree swaying in the wind.
This sounds like a classic scientific bottleneck. Like, you know what happens in a sterile, dark room, but proving it happens out in the chaotic environment of a real thunderstorm requires bypassing visible light entirely.
Enter meteorologist Patrick McFarland, the lead author of this study.
Right, McFarland. He realized that to catch this century-old ghost, he had to look outside the visible spectrum.
He did. In the summer of 2024, he led an observation campaign on the U.S. East Coast. And to do it, his team heavily modified a Toyota Sienna minivan.
I have to mention McFarland's quote about this process because it's hilarious. He literally took a jigsaw, cut a 12-inch hole in the roof of this family minivan to fit the periscope, and joked about totally ruining its resale value.
Yeah, they turned it into a highly specialized mobile observatory.
But I find myself questioning the necessity of that extreme approach.
Oh, really? How so?
Why go through the trouble of hacking up a vehicle and driving into dangerous, severe thunderstorms just to see something you've already proven happens in an indoor lab? I mean, if the physics dictate that leaf tips create corona discharges and the lab proves it, aren't we just risking a minivan to confirm what we already know?
Well, what's fascinating here is the vital difference between lab theory and real-world validation.
Okay, I'm listening.
Because in science, you cannot simply assume that what happens to a potted plant in a sterile, perfectly controlled indoor environment translates perfectly to a living, complex ecosystem weathering a chaotic storm.
Fair point.
Wind changes things. Rain changes the conductivity of the air. The ambient humidity fluctuates constantly.
So there are way too many variables.
Exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
The math suggested it, and the lab showed a blue glow. But until you observe the phenomenon interacting with the living biosphere in real time, it basically remains an educated guess.
Okay, that makes sense.
By shifting their detection method to an ultraviolet camera, McFarland's team found the only way to bypass the ambient stormlight and prove these anomalies were actual physical events happening on wild trees.
So they have their chopped up minivan, their ultraviolet periscope, and they are driving up and down the East Coast, tracking the electric fields of severe storms, hunting for invisible light.
And they finally catch it. On a sweet gum tree in North Carolina.
Here's where it gets really interesting. What did the camera actually capture?
They recorded what they termed ghost coronas, and the data they captured was just staggering.
How staggering.
During just one 90-minute observation window on that single sweet gum tree, the ultraviolet camera captured 41 separate corona discharges.
41. That is almost one flash every 2 minutes.
Yes.
And these aren't microscopic split-second sparks either. The research notes these invisible flashes lasted for up to 3 seconds each.
3 seconds is a long time in terms of an electrical discharge.
Right. And the UV camera actually captured the plasma glowing and jumping from leaf to leaf, moving and tracking with the physical movement of the branches as they swayed in the wind.
The physical movement is a crucial detail here. As the branches sway, the physical distance between the leaves and the storm clouds changes.
Which dynamically alters the local electric field.
Exactly. The tree is constantly recalculating the path of least resistance, shifting the electrical burden from one cluster of leaves to another.
Wow.
And the team didn't just see this on one tree. They repeated these observations during 4 other storms, ranging from Florida all the way to Pennsylvania.
confirming this mechanism across different tree species and varying levels of storm intensity.
Yes, verifying it wasn't just a one-off fluke. McFarland actually said, these things really do happen. We've seen them. Now we know they exist. Finally, having concrete proof of it is the most exciting thing.
When you scale up those numbers, the visual is staggering. I mean, if one sweet gum tree produces 41 3-second discharges in an hour and a half, we are talking about dozens or hundreds of leaves on a single tree activating.
Thousands across a forest.
Yeah, it paints a picture of an entirely invisible spectacle, like thousands of ultraviolet fireflies swarming a forest canopy.
That's a beautiful way to think of it.
It fundamentally shifts the role of the tree. It's almost like the entire forest is acting as a giant biological pressure valve, actively bleeding off the storm's electrical tension before it can build up into a massive lightning strike.
That pressure valve concept is exactly what the data suggests. We tend to view trees as passive subjects of the weather, right? The rain simply falls on them, the wind merely pushes them.
Right, they just stand there and take it.
But this discovery proves that the forest floor and the storm clouds are locked in an active dynamic interaction. The leaves are the crucial conduction points for a massive transfer of atmospheric energy.
It's mind-blowing.
It really is. I think it is worth considering the sheer scale of this invisible reality. Every time you've sat on a porch and watched a dark thunderstorm roll over a tree line, watching the wind whip through the branches.
A massive coordinated electrical light show was happening right in front of me.
Exactly. The trees were glowing with ultraviolet fire, discharging the Earth's energy into the sky, completely hidden from human sight.
It totally changes the experience of watching a storm.
Yeah.
But stepping back from the sheer visual scale of it, we have to look at the physical reality of what is happening to the plant.
The consequences.
Yeah, because leaves are essentially delicate biological tissue filled with water. If a forest is acting as a pressure valve, pumping raw atmospheric electricity through wet, delicate leaves, that cannot be a harmless process.
No, it's definitely not harmless.
It seems like it would just fry the biological tissue from the inside out.
Your deduction is entirely correct. As the research team dug deeper into the implications of these ghost coronas, they highlighted a severe physical cost.
Okay, so what's happening to the leaves?
Well, these UV flashes are not just harmless atmospheric lights, they are literal electrical burns. The current flowing through the leaf tip generates intense localized heat and electrical stress.
Ouch.
Yeah, and it can severely damage the protective cuticle of the leaf in a matter of seconds.
Let's break down why that matters, because the cuticle isn't just a physical shell, is it?
No, it's vital for survival.
It's the waxy outer layer of the leaf that serves as its primary defense system. It keeps the leaf from drying out by locking moisture inside, and it acts as a barrier against pathogens and fungal infections.
Right.
So if the electrical discharge degrades or melts that waxy layer, the leaf is suddenly completely vulnerable.
Exactly. The defense system is compromised. But the damage goes far deeper than the surface cuticle.
Deeper how?
The researchers cited previous botanical studies showing how this specific type of electric current interacts with the internal structure of the plant cells. The voltage causes a phenomenon called electroporation.
Electroporation. Okay, so the electrical field is physically interacting with the cell membrane itself.
Yes. Plant cell membranes rely on a very delicate balance of chemical polarity to function. When you force a high-voltage electrical current through that tissue, it disrupts that polarity.
And what does that do?
It literally rips microscopic holes in the cell membranes. It forces the cell walls to open.
Oh, wow.
And even more critically, the current flowing through the water inside the cell can actually boil it, creating microscopic shock waves that destroy the chloroplasts.
The chloroplasts, wait, those are the fundamental engines of a plant.
They are.
That's where photosynthesis happens. It's how the tree converts sunlight into food. If the electrical current is physically rupturing the cell membranes and popping the chloroplasts like, microscopic overfilled water balloons, the tree is losing its ability to feed itself.
It is.
So what does this all mean? Wait, so every time there's a severe thunderstorm, trees are essentially electrocuting themselves and sustaining widespread cellular destruction just by existing in the path of the storm.
This raises an important question about the brutal trade-offs inherent in a forest ecosystem. We have always known storms cause macro-level damage, right?
Sure, we see heavy branches snapped by the wind.
We see the charred trunks split by direct lightning strikes. But McFarland's research reveals an entirely new layer of invisible micro-level stress.
A completely hidden cost.
Exactly. The trees are enduring widespread cellular destruction that leaves them weakened and vulnerable to disease long after the storm has passed.
That's incredible.
And assessing the long-term impact of this specific cellular damage on the overall health of forest ecosystems is actually the explicitly stated next frontier for this research team.
It paints a completely different picture of the morning after a storm. You walk outside, the air is clear, everything looks green and washed clean by the rain, and you think the forest is thriving.
It looks peaceful.
Right.
Yeah.
But under the surface, at the microscopic level, millions of leaves are nursing these invisible electrical burns, desperately trying to patch the holes in their cell membranes and redo their shattered chloroplasts.
It is a silent battle for recovery that we had no idea was happening.
It's a profound realization about how deeply interconnected the atmosphere and the biosphere really are. The sky isn't just, raining water onto a passive landscape.
No, it is electrically interacting with the underlying biology. It's altering the cellular structure of the forest in real time.
Let's take a look at the entire journey we've been on today. We started with a mathematical anomaly from a century ago. Scientists noticing a strange drop in atmospheric voltage over forests and inferring a massive energy leak.
A century-old hunch.
Yeah, and that 100-year-old math problem led a team of dedicated researchers to hack a hole in the roof of a minivan, ruining its Kelley Blue Book value, just so they could stick an ultraviolet camera into the chaos of a summer storm.
And it paid off.
It really did. Because they bypassed the visible light spectrum, they finally proved the existence of ghost coronas. They showed us that trees are acting as biological pressure valves, lighting up like thousands of ultraviolet fireflies to bleed the Earth's electrical tension into the sky.
All while enduring severe, invisible cellular damage to their leaves.
It completely shifts our understanding of the natural world.
It really does. And, taking a broader look at the sheer timeline of this phenomenon leaves us with a fascinating, lingering concept to ponder.
Oh, what's that?
Well, nature is rarely wasteful, and evolution is an incredibly resourceful force. Trees have been enduring this exact type of cellular damage, this electroporation and destruction of their chloroplasts from ghost coronas, for hundreds of millions of years.
Which means they have had hundreds of millions of years to adapt to it.
Precisely. So if they have survived this constant atmospheric stress, could there be an undiscovered evolutionary defense mechanism at play?
Wait, like what?
Like, do trees possess a hidden, highly accelerated method of healing from this specific type of electrical burn that we simply haven't identified yet?
That would be amazing.
Or, to take the hypothesis a step further, if they are acting as the Earth's electrical conduit, bleeding off all this raw atmospheric energy, is it possible that over millions of years, they have evolved a way to actually utilize or harness some of that energy?
Oh, wow. So they might not just be taking damage.
Right. They might be interacting with the storm's power in a way our current science hasn't even begun to measure.
It frames the forest not just as a victim of the weather, but as an incredibly resilient system, constantly adapting to the most extreme forces on the planet.
Absolutely.
So, to everyone listening, the next time the sky turns that heavy, bruised shade of purple, the wind dies down, and you feel that sudden prickle of static electricity making the hair on your arms stand up, I want you to look at the tree line.
Keep this in mind.
Yeah, remember that you aren't the only one feeling that atmospheric tension. The entire forest is feeling it too, acting as a giant pressure valve, getting ready to light up the invisible night.
There is always a hidden layer of interaction happening right above our heads.
So true. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.